Final Fantasy stands as one of the most significant and influential video game franchises in history. It also boasts incredible diversity. Since the release of the original Final Fantasy on NES, the series has consistently experimented and evolved, frequently setting new benchmarks for the entire genre. Be it novel settings, characters, or groundbreaking battle systems, no two numbered Final Fantasy titles are identical. But which installment takes the crown as the best Final Fantasy game? As Final Fantasy XVI approaches and seems ready to transform the series yet again, I've taken the time to reflect on the previous mainline, numbered Final Fantasy games and ranked my top picks. I want to give you all a heads up. This list is based on my personal experiences with Final Fantasy games, and it's heavily influenced by my own biases and nostalgia. So don't be surprised if my picks differ from yours. Consider yourself warned. Final Fantasy. Being the origin story of all the cherished games in the series, the first entry is both definitive and aberrant. It's unusual for a Final Fantasy game to lack specific characterization, as players get to name their characters who are merely referred to as the Warriors of Light, creating a generic feeling to the game. However, the game also features familiar ability trees, excellent music by Yomatsu, and dungeons that are among the toughest in the franchise. Additionally, the class change available late in the game remains one of the most memorable moments in Final Fantasy, as a party transformation of that magnitude is rare and unexpected. Final Fantasy XIII. When it was released on PS3 and Xbox 360 in 2009, Final Fantasy XIII was certainly visually impressive. The game featured beautiful animations, realistic character models, and finely detailed environments. Additionally, Final Fantasy XIII reintroduced the active time battle system, although it felt more streamlined than in previous games. Consequently, players could almost complete random battles by pressing the same button repeatedly. Players could even set the game to auto-battle, which was remarkably similar to how they played most of the time. The game's biggest issue was its linearity, which differed significantly from previous Final Fantasy games. Moreover, the game's mundane science fiction plots made for a genre film like Final Fantasy experience. Nevertheless, Final Fantasy XIII is still an enjoyable game, and to its credit, the story improves in Final Fantasy XIII-2 and Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII. Final Fantasy V. Although Final Fantasy V did not create the iconic job system of the series, it certainly defined it. The job system is so enjoyable, satisfying, and customizable that it forms the foundation of the entire Bravely Default series. Even the 4-job fiesta exists to demonstrate how infinitely replayable Final Fantasy V is. While games like Bravely Default may enhance the core gameplay, Final Fantasy V is still worth playing for its unique blend of complexity and ease of use. It's regrettable that Square did not initially release Final Fantasy V beyond Japan. Despite subsequent localized re-releases and remasters that have broadened its global audience, this JRPG is still undervalued. The best way to play the game nowadays is through the Pixel Remaster on Steam or the mobile remakes. However, many devoted fans still prefer the Game Boy Advance version if it's accessible to you. Final Fantasy VI. Okay, first of all, be nice guys. Remember what I said in the intro? Considered by many to be the best of the retro Final Fantasies, as well as being the best installment overall. The 1994 SNES classic Final Fantasy VI is like a blend of Final Fantasy and Gundam mechs. The game takes place in a post-apocalyptic steampunk world where magic has been supplanted by massive machines. When a mysterious woman named Terra arrives with strange, magical abilities, the evil empire ruling this new world order begins to feel threatened. This sets off a story of war and rebellion with operatic proportions, complete with an ironic opera scene in the middle of the game. Final Fantasy VI is one of the few games in the series that truly highlights its iconic summon monsters. They, along with the game's 14 playable party members, play a significant role in the game, and players will need all the assistance they can get to defeat its truly terrifying and deranged clown villain, Kefka Palazzo. Final Fantasy IV. Choosing between Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy IV was a difficult decision for me, since I consider both games to equally be the best in the Final Fantasy Pixel era. Ultimately, I chose to give Final Fantasy VI the edge because it was the first game in the series to showcase mature themes and deeper storytelling, which later became defining characteristics of the franchise. Final Fantasy IV stands out as the quintessential Final Fantasy experience. It features a complete cast of well-developed characters with distinct classes, as well as the first use of the ATB system or Active Time Battle. Additionally, it has the first truly remarkable soundtrack in the series. Like Final Fantasy X and XIII, Final Fantasy IV has received story extensions in Final Fantasy IV Interlude and Final Fantasy IV The After Years, which may or may not be essential, but their existence attests to how much fans were captivated by this group of characters. Personally, I believe that Final Fantasy IV taught me numerous valuable life lessons. Final Fantasy IX. It's no surprise that so many people still embrace the colorful and characterful story of heisting actors and clown-faced queens in Final Fantasy IX. The game discards the surly strongmen and angsty teen mercenaries of previous games in favor of a humorous thief, a clumsy bodyguard, a nervous puppet, and a sorrowful princess. The battle system, world map, and potion shops in Final Fantasy IX are fairly traditional. However, instead of gaining new abilities automatically, players can acquire new moves by equipping weapons or armor and learning their powers. This allows players to distribute the most useful abilities among party members simply by sharing the same equipment. Final Fantasy IX was also the last main series game to feature static environments, and while we need not mourn the blurry backgrounds for too long, we can still look back on them with affection. Mapping the various scenes in one's mind and exploring the edges of the scenery for hidden treasures behind immovable props provided a unique experience. Final Fantasy XII. Initially, some fans viewed Final Fantasy XII as an unwelcome departure from the series. However, it's now clear that its design was inspired by previous outstanding Final Fantasy games. The game features a complex battle system combining elements from Final Fantasy XI Online, Final Fantasy Tactics, and the iconic ATB system. Set in Ivalice, the same world as the Tactics series, it boasts a richly developed setting. The Zodiac Age version incorporates the famous job system found in other titles. Final Fantasy XII introduced influential mechanics like the Gambit system, which laid the groundwork for AI trust party members in Final Fantasy XI and XIV. Its expansive environments, real-time combats, and MMO-like questing significantly impacted RPGs, paving the way for games like Xenoblade Chronicles. The best version of Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, includes the job system, quality of life improvements, enhanced visuals and soundtrack, and extra side content. Final Fantasy X. Is it debatable to claim that Final Fantasy X ranks among the top 3 Final Fantasy games? Perhaps not. Well, however, Final Fantasy X remains as exceptional today as it was in 2001. The PlayStation 2's capabilities enabled breathtaking visuals depicting the Asian-inspired landscapes of Spira and realistic character models. This mostly linear game offers vast, diverse environments and dungeons with intriguing puzzles. Furthermore, it showcases the series' most endearing relationship between Tidus and Yuna, who grow closer as they embark on a quest to defeat Sin. The game's cutscenes, which introduced full voice acting, are still visually impressive, and even the notorious laughing scene is charming due to its character's likability. The narrative, conveyed solely through Tidus' perspective, is more focused than most Final Fantasy storylines. While occasionally cheesy, this quality ultimately enhances its emotional impact. Final Fantasy X replaced the active time battle system with a traditional turn-based combat system, and the sphere grid added complexity to the leveling system, allowing players to modify a character's intended class. Let's not forget Blitzball, the underwater sport that made Tidus famous. A standalone game would be fantastic, right? While the direct sequel falls short of its predecessor, it's still worth playing in the HD collection. Final Fantasy VIII. Final Fantasy VIII ranks number 2 on our list. If you disagree, let's settle this Squall and Cypher style with a gunblade duel. Technically, this game was the first Final Fantasy title I ever played. As a kid in the 90s, I didn't own a PlayStation 1 yet, so I often went to my uncle's house just to watch him play the game, and occasionally I got the chance to battle some enemies, which meant endlessly spamming GFs. However, at that time, I couldn't read English yet, so it prevented me from fully understanding everything. There are plenty of standout moments apart from the romantic aspects, such as being chased by a giant mechanical spider, venturing into space to destroy alien dinosaurs, and engaging in airborne battles against motorcycle-riding soldiers. Ultimately, you get to breach the villain's colossal skyscraper with your impressive airship, making it an exhilarating experience on every level. The combat system is brilliant and unique, with the ability to junction or assign summons and magic spells to individual characters, allowing for fine-tuning and creating a more personal Final Fantasy game. Rather than simply purchasing success with disposable trinkets, you actively seek new monsters, grow with them as a team, and share acquired skills with your comrades. Despite its attempts at lifelike graphics, Final Fantasy VIII revolves around a floating military academy established to thwart a time-traveling witch from possessing a teenage girl and her dog in the future to achieve her goal of time compression and world renewal. It's wild, absurd, and sometimes downright hilarious, but it's the best, and I adore it. Not to mention that it has one of the best soundtracks in history. The battle themes will get you pumped for battles, while tracks like Breezy, Balam Garden, and Fisherman's Horizon will leave you in a daze of calmness. Final Fantasy VII. If you've been watching our videos, you could see this one coming from a mile away. This particular Final Fantasy installment was the first one I could truly call my own. After the release of the PS2, my parents finally had enough funds to buy me a PS1, as it became more affordable. At that time, I had learned to read English, allowing me to fully immerse myself in the game's world and its lovable, distinct characters. My connection with Final Fantasy VII is deeply personal, but I recognize that the game's impact on the gaming world was nothing short of meteoric. A quick look at the impact section on the game's Wikipedia page reveals its far-reaching influence. Final Fantasy VII possesses the same masterful storytelling I attributed to Final Fantasy IV and VI, with unforgettable moments such as Sephiroth's iconic destruction of Nibelheim, Aeris' demise, or Cloud and Tifa's journey through the lifestream. Similar to 9, 7's world is both vast and intricately detailed, with nearly every location playing a crucial role in the plot. The influence of Final Fantasy VII extends well beyond the main entry, further solidifying its significance. With exceptional side games like Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, debatable ones like Dirge of Cerberus, movies, Advent Children, and the acclaimed remake, and more, the game's legacy permeates various media. Whenever I hear its main theme, it transports me back in time, and when I snap back to reality, I'm left with goosebumps and a glimmer of a tear in my eye, just like now. That's that. And that's my top 10 main series Final Fantasy games, ranked in all their glory. Remember, this list is like a chocobo race, with my personal favorites dashing ahead based on my fond memories and experiences. So if you don't agree, don't summon Bahamut just yet, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you're eager to learn even more about the Final Fantasy universe and its impact on gaming, be sure to check out our video discussing every Final Fantasy game ever released. It's a ride through gaming history that's perfect for both newcomers and series veterans alike.